Early Christianity, and think about this for a second, and you've talked about it in your apologetics. Early Christianity spread even though people were being executed, right? Martyrs.
Yeah.
Spread by word of mouth. Okay? Islam, with no real known oppressors, because it wasn't a religion that people were super concerned about at that point in time, was spread by the sword. So you were facing martyrdom, you spoke. No one really knew what you were doing. No one really knew who you were following, you killed.
Welcome back to the channel. I am the Lord Scrub, and I think the most important thing you can do when criticizing a movement or belief system, look at its blueprint, whether it's the founder or the text. See why this group believes what they believe based on where they're citing their sources. What is the original thought process, to see how well that group operates in their ideology, right? And I think this clip from the Reconquista period 2024 on Instagram puts it very well of how best to criticize something. But let's get into the clip, and then we'll go into the text. I think Jesus tackles this in a way to where it's like, hey, this makes sense, this line of thinking. With that being said, let's go.
Say, hey, you look at these extremist Christians. Well, hold on a second. If a Christian opens fire on a bunch of innocent civilians, it's pretty easy to see the daylight between that and what not only Jesus preached, but how Jesus lived.
Yeah.
For example, let me give you, and I've talked about this quite a bit. If someone commits murder, right, mass murder, and they say, I'm doing it because I'm a white Christian fundamentalist, which almost pretty much never happens. But if they do it, you go, okay, hold on a second. Did Jesus preach that? No. Okay. Did Jesus kill anybody? No. Did he mass murder anybody? No. Did he call for the death of no. All right. If you have an Islamic terrorist saying we're going to oppress women, okay, did Muhammad? Yes. If they say we're actually going to kill people who are apostates or Jews, did Muhammad do that? Yes, he did. Killing Christians and Jews, he did it. Did he call for it? Yes. You can say that maybe some interpretations are murky. You cannot argue that he didn't do those things himself.
Right.
Maybe you can say it was at a time of war. It wasn't. That's a huge difference too. Early Christianity, and think about this for a second, and you've talked about it in your apologetics. Early Christianity spread even though people were being executed, right? Martyrs.
Yeah.
Spread by word of mouth. Okay? Islam, with no real known oppressors, because it wasn't a religion that people were super concerned about at that point in time, was spread by the sword. So you were facing martyrdom, you spoke. No one really knew what you were doing. No one really knew who you were following, you killed. That's the spread of these two religions, and that's why you see two very different results. Does that make sense? When people,
yeah, that's the full clip. It makes a very valid point. Christianity's origins, and I understand that in 2,000 years you're gonna get some sort of deviations as far as different sect or different ideas popping up years later that in some ways put some conflict between that what that belief stands for. With so much time passed and so many different hands now taking this gospel or taking the idea of this belief upon themselves, it wouldn't make sense that every single last one of them would be sincerely intentioned. And if anything, given the various passages of Jesus which demonstrate this idea of, oh yeah, once he's gone, there will be some people who come in later that will try to subvert his purpose. So with all that to say, no, I don't think any religion, no religion on the face of the planet does not have bad actors or situations later on that contradict what the faith stands for. But regardless of those bad actors, the most important thing is, what is the documentation? What is the blueprint for this belief? And I do think that he observes it, the religion of Islam very rightly, because say what you want about how good individuals act in other countries, as far as like, so America, there's not really much or any radical individuals. There's very tolerant people here, despite multiple different belief systems clashing. Sure, ideologically and intellectually, and in the public sphere, the clash of ideas, we can get a bit rough out there as far as our rhetoric on any side, atheist, Muslim, Christian, all that good stuff. Like, it can get very rough as far as the speech, but we're not, you know, doing the old fisticuffs or brandishing the sword versus other places. And obviously, why is that? Why can certain religions, why can certain belief systems, I guess in many ways, behave themselves independent of the American experiment of this dream depart from British shores? I think obviously the idea is within the text, the teachings of Jesus. I mean, I could just quote a verse: "Love others. Like, I give you a new commandment: love others as I have loved you." So Jesus frames the idea of, hey, your love must match how he's self-sacrificially loved other people. And then obviously, the verse that everybody rags on with Christians, turn the other cheek, like, oh, you guys are weak and lame because you're told to turn the other cheek. So it's like the blueprint is loving your enemies and pacifism, like, for the sake of the gospel. Can the other sides really say that? Like independent of nations, like your belief system, just interacting with the world unrestricted by various cultures and the law of politeness, as some people call it. What will you do in times like this? With that being said, before we get off for the day, I have this beautiful verse here from Luke. It's Luke chapter 7, verses 33 to 35. It says, "For John the Baptist came neither neither eating bread or drinking wine, but you say he has a demon." So the words, like, he has this particular way of conducting himself, and yet you call him like very demeaning names. And then of course, it juxtaposed with verse 34, "The Son of Man has come eating and drinking, and you say, look, a glutton and a winebibber, a friend of tax collectors and sinners." So another individual cut from the same cloth, preaching like the same message, like, but yet in many ways slightly different in the way they walk, and yet you have this sort of different response. But I think I like verse 35, because this is why I put this verse out here. "But wisdom is justified by all her children." Very, very, very flavorable speech here. But the point is, this, like, teaching or the truth of a thing is verified by what it breeds or what it creates, what it builds. Because the idea of children here is offspring, what it produces. And I think that when looking at the gospel message, to Jesus' teachings, to obviously the way the church has conducted itself more or less over the last 2,000 years, we had some wacky situations, have we not, from the Christian faith? I've had different atheists come at me with all types of things. What do you think about the Crusades? And I'm like, brother, that sounds like a history lesson, and that I need to go back to school for, as far as the many nuances and different teachings and different like different parties involved, why they were fighting and what was going on. Don't just throw that at me. But that was over 1,000 years ago, and obviously since then, less than crazy things have happened over time. But I mean, hey, radical situations tend to bring out like radical responses rather than sticking to that original belief system. But with that being said, that's what I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think it's a good assessment to assess a belief system on like what is your blueprint teach? Or is it more of a, nah, if anything bad comes out of it, then we shouldn't like it at all. If anybody can just put on this label and things happen because people put on this label, then the whole label is bad. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, because I think it's an interesting conversation. With that being said, like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys in the next one. Take care.